Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Today's program brought to you in part by G&A Partners, Rich Club, and our friends at EfficientWealthManagement.com. Going to go straight to our next guest, Michael Whatley. He's with an organization called the Consumer Energy Alliance. That's ConsumerEnergyAlliance.org. Michael, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having us on today.
Kind of give us the elevator speech. Can you tell us what the Consumer Energy Alliance is all about?
Sure. We are a national, nonpartisan, nonprofit trade association. We're actually based in Houston, and we've got about 260 affiliate members all around the country representing basically every sector of the U.S. economy, as well as about 400,000 individuals. And basically, we wake up every day and go to work and try and figure out how we can reduce energy prices for American consumers. So when we look at the world of oil and offshore production or onshore production, you know, a lot of folks look at drilling statistics and barrels and all of that. We look at what is the price at the pump and what can we do to try and make sure that we're reducing price for American drivers.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the site, ConsumerEnergyAlliance.org. You've got offices in several regions around the country, but I'm sure this is where your biggest footprint is, not only because you're corporately located, but just because of what we do here.
Yeah, you know, and we really try to make sure that wherever we're going to have major policy discussions taking place, that we have a footprint there. And we're on the ground in 22 states, and we operate in about 35 states. But, you know, we try very hard to make sure that wherever those discussions are going to take place, that we're going to be able to be there and influence those discussions. You know, I'm based out of Washington, D.C., but, you know, we do have a major footprint down in Houston.
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. So what's the biggest challenges you guys are facing? I mean, it's kind of ironic to me to just watch it, and I watch business a lot. I watch energy some, but it almost seems like it's the best of times and worst of times for your industry on a domestic front, don't you think?
Well, I think when you look at oil and natural gas production, we have an absolutely amazing story to tell. You know, the United States, we're now producing the most natural gas that we have, you know, in 15 to 20 years. In terms of oil production, you know, we've gone from 60% imports down to about 33% imports just over the last 5-6 years. And, you know, the Department of Energy and the international energy agencies are saying that we could be 100% supplying our own and even looking at exports in the not-too-distant future because of what's taking place right now with hydraulic fracturing and the renaissance and the boom that has created. But at the same time, you know, we have seen on state and private lands that production is ramping up in Eagle Ford and other, you know, shale plays that we've got going in Texas are a perfect example of that, as well as the Bakken up in North Dakota. But what we're seeing on the federal side is really very troubling because we have seen production go down in the offshore. We've seen production go down on federal lands onshore. We've seen Alaska continues to be shut down by the federal government. And, you know, the steps that the government has taken at every turn in terms of the lands that they control has just been tightening the spigot, and tightening the spigot. And so we've got to make sure that we have those new areas available for exploration, or else we're going to fall behind.
Yes. What are some of the various fronts that you guys operate on in terms of promoting this agenda of helping keep energy costs lower for consumers?
You know, when you look at the price of gasoline or diesel that you pay when you go to the pump, you know, 20% of that is refining costs and transportation costs and marketing costs and, of course, the taxes that they pay, which makes up 12% of that. But 80% of that price is the price of oil that goes into the refinery gate. And so what we want to make sure is that we're getting the most and the cheapest oil into the refinery gate as possible, because that's what's going to help bring down those prices. And North American oil, whether it's coming out of the Gulf of Mexico or it's coming from onshore or Alaska or the Canadian oil sands, is by far the cheapest oil that we can get into U.S. refineries. It's running, you know, anywhere from $25 to $50 a barrel cheaper than what we can get from Venezuela or the Middle East. So when we look at those, you know, as the primary drivers, we want to build Keystone XL. We want to make sure that we get Alaska opened up for production. We want to make sure that we have a robust offshore plan, and we certainly want to take every step we can to make sure that hydraulic fracturing is going to be able to stay online and that we don't have EPA or other federal departments and agencies taking steps to shut it down.
Yeah, that all makes perfect sense. But talk a little bit about the effort itself. Is that engaging with elected officials? Is that talking to bureaucrats? Is that getting consumers deployed and employed to contacting their elected officials? Tell us what do your engagements look like to meet this objective?
Great question. And basically, in terms of the advocacy campaigns that we run, we use all of the above. We certainly have a very good federal lobbying team up in Washington, D.C., headed by Mitch McConnell's former energy staffer, who's our VP for Federal Affairs. We have a state government team that we run out of Lexington, Kentucky, with a young man that used to run the Council of State Governments energy programs and is plugged in with all of the different governors and state legislators around the country. And so we do the direct advocacy in the State House and in the Federal House. But where we really excel is that we go out and educate the consumers, and the consumers are also voters. And so we run grassroots campaigns where we can mobilize, hundreds of thousands of people to be able to weigh in support of Keystone XL or to weigh in support of, offshore drilling, and try and make sure that the policymakers are getting input from the consumers. We also have a very robust communications program. And we like to do a lot of interviews just like we're doing here and getting people, the information on energy policy that they need to hear, whether that's radio or in TV or in print. So it really is just a matter of trying to get that message out there. Sometimes we feel a little bit like preachers. You got to keep providing the same message over and over again before it sinks in. But, where we have seen our best results are, where we can go in and not necessarily be an energy producer, but be that consumer and that voter that the policymakers want to listen to.
Very good. Thanks so much for your time today. Enjoyed it. The best website for people to get more information? ConsumerEnergyAlliance.org, and folks should be able to go there and tool around and look at the information, but more importantly, get to the action item list and be able to weigh in on all the public campaigns that we're running. All right. Thanks so much. Thanks for your great work. I'm very supportive of what you guys are trying to do. And, every dollar that's spent here, not only is it a better dollar in terms of lower cost per gallon, but it's one that fights the war on terror, because every dollar of energy that we're spending internationally is funding those who are trying to destroy our country, which to me makes zero sense.
I could not agree more. Thank you again for your time.
You bet. ConsumerEnergyAlliance.org. I'm Kevin Price. You're listening to The Price of Business. More for you after this.